The NFL fans are in an uproar, and they have every right to be over the bad calls in the playoff game with the Chiefs and the Texans. It's absolutely ridiculous. At this point, you better not even look at Patrick Mahomes where a flag is coming out. Let's jump into this video, and I'll get into the rest.
Mahomes dropped it. Able to get it and take off to his right. And then slide down. They're going to throw a flag on that. I mean, it was a late slide, but they throw the flag, and it was Clay Martin who threw it.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 39.
Oh, come on.
15-yard penalty.
Here's the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a runner, and I could not disagree with that one more. And he barely gets hit. That's the second penalty now that's been called against the Texans.
Joe Buck, you better be careful saying, oh, come on, criticizing the NFL. You might be out of a job tomorrow. And Troy, they barely hit him. The two Houston defenders hit each other. They didn't even hit Patrick Mahomes. Come on, Troy. I mean, I know you're a paid NFL employee, but let's be serious.
Yeah, Troy, I agree with you. There's no forcible contact to the head neck area of him. The two Houston players hit each other. That should not have been a foul.
And if you,
Roger Goodell is behind all of this. He has turned the league into something that's unrecognizable. You know, if you grew up in the 90s or the early 2000s, it's a violent game. They're supposed to be hitting and contact. This whole thing where, you know, Roger Goodell and his team is going to eliminate the physicality of football, he should be indicted. It should be a federal indictment against the greatest game in the world. He has done nothing but destroy the NFL. And he claims that he's about player safety. So if you're about player safety, why would you add 2 regular season games to the schedule? If you're all about player safety, more games means more injuries. Then you have Thursday night football, something that you never had in all of the history of football until Roger Goodell took over. So if you play a game on a Sunday, and then you have to play Thursday, and then you have to play Sunday again, so you're basically playing 3 games in under 2 weeks. Do you think your body has time to recover at all for the next game? But Roger Goodell, he's all about player safety. Player safety. It's not about player safety. It's about ratings and the outside perception of the NFL. The only reason why the rules changed in the NFL was because the movie Concussions with Will Smith and all the Hollywood garbage that put a spotlight on the NFL in a negative light. So to combat that, we have all these new rules that are complete just nonsense. It's just window dressing. Because if you really cared about the players and you really cared about their health and their safety, you would have kept the schedule at 16 games. You would have eliminated some of the preseason games. And you would never have Thursday night football. Thursday night football is the worst football you could possibly watch. And it's not because the players are bad. It's they can't physically perform at the highest peak because their bodies are so banged up. But nobody's allowed to ask these questions. You know, Troy Aikman, all the NFL legends who get a check from the NFL because they're in media, nobody will say what I'm saying directly to Roger Goodell and ask him, well, if you care about player safety, what about A, B, and C, what I just said? And they'll never do that because no amount of money is ever good enough for these guys. You already have enough money to last 100 lifetimes, and you supposedly love this game so much, but you won't question a guy like Roger Goodell who's obviously ruining the game. And they want I shouldn't say they, Roger Goodell. If you think that Roger Goodell is not paying attention to ratings and social media and trends, I can't help you. Roger Goodell wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl as long as Travis Kelce is playing football and married and going out with Taylor Swift. Because all the Swifties will tune in to watch people that never watch football. It drives the ratings through the roof. Roger Goodell And Taylor Swift probably invited Caitlin Clark to the game, had her sit next to Taylor Swift, and now all the Caitlin Clark fans will watch football. It's never enough money for the NFL. It's just never enough. They can't keep the game pure and beautiful the way it was for the first 200 years of its existence. And leave it to my Pittsburgh Steelers. See, the teams and the players and the coaches, most of them have nobody to blame but themselves for the situation. I'm going to tell you why. At one point, every team voted if they should give Roger Goodell total control of the NFL. And in return, he guaranteed the teams and the players a bigger piece of the pie. Every single team and player, led by the players' union, voted to give Roger Goodell sole power of the NFL. You know who's the only team that voted no? And the team? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Because they know that absolute power in the hands of one man that has a possibility of being corrupt leads you where we are today in the NFL, trying to make the game something that it's not. We tune in for the physicality. We tune in for the hitting. Pretty soon, it's just going to be two-hand touch, flag football. I mean, if a receiver catches a ball or a running back's running with the ball, he has the right to leap over a defender, but the defender can't leap into the air to meet him with contact. It's ridiculous. They changed the rules of the game because you have fans that have the attention span of a 3-year-old and they need the score to be 50 to 80 because God forbid the score doesn't go over, a combined score of 35 points. Oh, it was a boring game. These two teams suck, blah, blah, blah. So they changed every rule in the book to make it harder for defenses to stop scoring. Is that purity for the game? Is that love of the game? No, absolutely not. I don't want to see that garbage. I'm not trying to watch Pac-10 football on a Sunday. I don't want to see a score 50 to 48. And I believe a lot of times when you see the crappy things that are done to the Steelers with the scheduling them, 3 games in 11 days and on Christmas, I don't believe it's because Roger Goodell likes the Steelers or the Steelers fan base. I believe that it's done out of spite because he knows they're the only team not to vote for him to give him absolute power. And I'll end it with this. Since, Roger Goodell is all about player safety and, a beacon of the community. Now, Roger Goodell is a politician. That's what Roger Goodell is. And every single player that gets injured in the NFL, when they get injured, they have some of the best medical coverage that you could think of. Do you know what happens to their medical claims when they get an injury? Because, they don't want to be sued, or not every player recovers from an injury. Some people have to retire. So what does Roger Goodell and the NFL do? And when you put medical claims in, automatic, denied. Every claim initially is denied by the NFL. Oh, but he's all about player safety. So wait, hold on, Roger. You didn't know that player got injured on the field? You didn't watch the game where he got injured? How is the claim denied? Oh, it's a pre-existing injury. He had that injury before he got to the NFL. We're not paying it out. We're not giving him medical care. Wow. Sounds like you should be part of Joe Biden's cabinet and the rest of the medical insurance companies all over the country who, like in California, right before the fires came, they canceled everybody's fire insurance. That's what Roger Goodell is. That's who he is as a person. He's a politician. It's all about him. It's all about greed. The man makes $50 million a year. $50 million a year to be the commissioner of the NFL and have total control. It's all about Roger Goodell. It's not about the players. It's not about the safety of the players. It's not about the purity of the game. It's about how much money can I make and how can I manipulate the public perception of me and the NFL. Let's watch the rest of the rig calls in the Chiefs game.
Looked like it was helmet to helmet in real time and
Pick up a flag for
Troy, that looks like helmet to helmet in real time. I just can't with some of these guys anymore. You'll say anything to keep that check. He lets up at the last second and bumps him with a shoulder pad. The helmet is nowhere near Patrick Mahomes' helmet.
a foul for high contact to the head neck.
Stroud floats it. He's got his man Schultz. And Dalton Schultz is down to the Kansas.
Oh, the hip drag tackle that they call on every play against everybody. All of a sudden, you didn't see the hip drag tackle? Of course not, because they're in the red zone.
Take off to his right. And then slide down.
We've seen this one
That's
already.
the second penalty now that's been called against the Texans. See Schultz as he comes off the line of scrimmage. He has the ability to run where he wants, but you can see he's blocking his guy. If he doesn't get his hands out and look like he's blocking right inside, and Mahomes buying some time, and he thinks that there's nobody then left to contain. It was
That's holding.
prostate cancer that targets PSMA positive cancer cells, so you can be you for longer than that.
We go back 2 plays ago. Watch Hutchinson come down right at the marker.
Yeah, the ball was at the line, and I think that.
Now,
Yeah, he's back pretty
Oh,
good
come on.
too. I wouldn't be surprised. I would expect D'Amico Ryans to be talking to.
he and the Texans thought that Justin Reed came across before the snap.
Yeah, those things are tough. I'm not going to go back and forth on what I thought was a call, what I thought wasn't a call, and it's one of those things you kind of know what's up before you even walk in the arena. And we got to be better at just being accountable and sound. And, some things, I think we had a couple calls that weren't called that argue with the ref and at the same time play football. I got to go and do my job. So, I would say, it's definitely some things that I would question, but at the same time, they're the professionals. They're getting paid to be refs, and they did ultimately their best. And but this kind of thing, it's us against the world. When you're playing in these type of environments and games.
Everybody know how it is playing up here. You can never leave it into the refs' hands. But the whole world see, man, like what it is, bro. But it is what it is. Like I said, when it come down to it, you can't never leave it into the refs' hands, man, and things like that. But it's all good, though.
He's kept this organization, his team, all year, man. He has blessed us and favored us tremendously, man. And I just got to give all the glory to him, man. We knew it was going to be us against the refs going into this game. And, I talked to you guys early this week. And I was just saying, we got to go out there and we got to do us better. And, in some instances we didn't do that, in some instances we did. So we just got to keep going, man. Next offseason, get the guys together, man. And, everybody just coming together and just keep building that team chemistry and get.
Well, D'Amico was asked post-game, comparatively speaking, teams like the Chiefs, Ravens.
There you have it. It's an absolute disgrace. You saw it yourself. You've seen every one of those calls. That's 9 calls that are obviously not against the Texans. I don't want to hear I'm a conspiracy theorist unless you watch the full tape. It's not just one call. It's not just 2 calls where sometimes there's a human error. There's 11 bad calls in a game, all against the Texans. If you think that the Swifties and their viewership doesn't matter, you're not paying attention to Roger Goodell. It matters. He wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl at all costs.